Now, what is the BioLite 330 headlamp? Well, it's a first attempt by the titular stove manufacturer to break into the crowded headlamp market. It uses an older design architecture with its power pack divorced from its lamp assembly and slung around the back to try and achieve a balanced weight distribution. It has a comfortable headband and an intuitive control setup that allows the user to cycle through many settings with ease, while also offering memory and dimming. It comes in a variety of colors and is fully rechargeable. Let's look at it up close. In front, we have the lamp assembly. It has a low profile but still offers horizontal articulation via a clever pair of stepped cogs cast into the back of the assembly. In the back is the power pack, and on one side a coiled cable conjoining the two. And this headband, oh my, this headband! It's silky smooth and feels so soft and comforting. This band is like the waistband of high quality underpants. Just firm and reassuring, broadcasting a sense of quality and comfort. There's a lot of cleverness at play here, from the simplicity of the pivot of the lamp to the attempt to achieve balance. It's clear that a great deal of thought went into this, which makes it hard to say this next part. The biggest issue I have with the BioLite 330 headlamp is that it's flawed. I mean, for all this cleverness and all this thought they've put into it, at the end of the day, there's just things that are bafflingly problematic about it. For example, the lamp assembly itself is so slim that the cone of light spills onto your nose, and it takes some time to adjust to knowing that you can see your nose again. It's a weird phenomenon. I also at times have trouble discerning the button itself from the little plastic guide piece behind it, and I often find myself fumbling at that hard plastic guide piece when I'm trying to simply turn on or turn off my light. Then there's this whole bullheaded design they've gone with this divorced structure that means the heaviest part of it, the battery pack, is right above the buckles. So every time you walk, every time you run, every time you take a step, that's tugging on those buckles and just busting it out of alignment. And before long, it's just slipping down your forehead. Furthermore, compounding the issue, as the band loosens, the battery... Hold on. What's this? This is the USB charging port. It's just covered by a simple rubber plug that loosely inserts into the micro USB port. A plug that could be easily pulled open by the friction of fabric. A plug that could very well lead to water intrusion on a rainy hike. It's just frustrating that in the face of all of this cleverness, a potential Achilles heel is safeguarded by a mere rubber plug. Why? Who would do this? The only thing I can imagine is that there was a designer. We'll call that designer Johnson. Now, Johnson was staying in Aspen at his friend's cabin while this project was nearing its final stages. And Johnson forgot to do his job, which is design a cap for the USB. And so he turned in something he drew on a bar napkin 30 minutes before the project went to the final design, and that's how it is. Little rubber plug flopping on the side of the battery. Thanks a lot, Johnson. We were depending on you. Now cast your mind back to my previous review of the Princeton Tech Axis rechargeable headlamp. That unit had been my mainstay long enough that I really view it as my benchmark for how I see other headlamps. One could easily interpret this as bias, I will admit, but I choose to see it as just another lens through which I can study a tool and think about it critically. In that capacity, it's important to look at features. For example, the BioLite 330, it's marketed on its decent combination of 230 lumens for its main spotlight and 100 lumens for its secondary flood. When you compare that to the Axis, which has a 250 lumen main beam and a 200 lumen secondary beam, well, the 330 is hedged out slightly in the main beam capacity, but when it comes to the secondary beam, it's just blown entirely out of the water. The 330 has a battery life ranging from 40 to 3.4 hours, depending on what output is used, while the Axis has a 54 to 2 hour battery life, also depending on settings. It's such an odd contrast given that it has 74 4% of the maximum battery life on low, a setting that is fully half the output of the Axis's setting, yet somehow it's not even equivalent in battery life. However, on the maximum output, a setting that is 73% of the Axis's maximum, the 330 has a 170% increase in efficiency over the Axis. It's weird, and I just have so much trouble comprehending it. There are other comparisons as well. The 330 is 2.43 ounces compared to the Axis's 2.9, which I actually find surprising, because when you consider this divorced structure, you have so much more material going into the structure and casing of it, into the wires, into the grommets. It just boggles the mind that it could weigh less, but still have near toe-to-toe performance with my benchmark unit. And I have to admit that, well, it is a good value. And if you're a first-time buyer looking for a new headlamp, this $49 MSRP means you can get this at $12 cheaper than the Princeton Tech unit, and the build quality overall is certainly there. So in conclusion, I've looked at this and I do find that the functionality and build quality of this is good, and that it's really championed by its overall value and functionality. You get a decent performer at a reasonable price with lots of just fun personality. So by my rubric, I'm giving this a 92%, which definitely puts it in the recommended category. Like I said, it has issues and I was a little harsh on those, but it's hard to go wrong. And if you are a first timer looking for a new rechargeable, this is a good buy. I encourage you to take a look at it. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you like, subscribe, leave a nasty message in the comments, and I appreciate you checking in. Thank you.